This 3D model was made in 10 minutes using DroneDeploy. When I hit go on that DroneDeploy button and the drone took off, flew itself around the farm, landed, and so this 3D model really is this interactive learning tool, and it's just one of the most simple things to make.
This is the final map for that project. This is the power of graphic design and Adobe Illustrator. Is there are many layers to this, but it's like a book in the shape of a map.
How can you make a map that reads like a book? That's the subject of today's video, and in a way that's the subject of a lot of permaculture design. When we start doing base mapping for folks and understanding the topography, the water flow, etc., what we do is we start to design into the map and to the landscape all these different elements, all these different layers, from sectors to zone, to trees, to water, to buildings, to animals, to chickens, to ponds, to ducks, and a whole bunch more, right? Now, in the digital world, we're using all sorts of amazing digital software programs and digital hardware that helps us facilitate the communication of what we know about permaculture, what is possible on landscapes, and infusing it into a map so that we can transmit that information to our clients. In today's video, we're going to learn all about the digital hardware and software tools, including some drones, 3D visualizations, and again, how to make a map read like a book. Let's hear from Daniel Halsey of United Designers first, and I'll see you at the end of the video.
So that's kind of a little bit about how we design. Again, taking information from people. This was done for me by Josh, who did the work with drone information from the client, and then we were able to make maps. And like you were saying about the style of our design, this is what we want. We call it the easy read. Low noise, very obvious. Colors are muted. Everything is muted except the things that need to be seen right off the bat. And we love that because there are things that we hide in our designs until somebody asks for it. And then you say, oh, it's right there. See that? And then all of a sudden it shows up. There's a lot of information in here. And again, that's just basic graphic design skills working in there. This is the final map for that project. And
so beautiful.
This is the power of graphic design and Adobe Illustrator. Is there are many layers to this, but it's like a book in the shape of a map. To basically explain, of course, if you're going to install this, that's a whole another level of detail.
Right.
But that's the kind of work we do another place too. So the nice thing about the way we work, and again, this is teamwork with Matter. They will also work with NGO in Haiti. And again, doing the site assessment, understanding the production that they need. This is right by Cité Soleil, right by the main towns and right along the ocean there. Just a fantastic place to work. But again, how we display the information and explain things, like I was saying, we're the explainers. You can see all the little call outs. You know, that's taking the bigger picture and then zooming into different pieces of it to explain what's going on in that so that everybody understands. One of the things what's funny is we always say is that, well, whoever you deliver this to, guess what? They have to explain it to somebody else, right? It's like everybody's going to ask them and then somebody else is going to ask them. So everything we have on here has to be obvious. It has to be explainable to people, and not just a design with a bunch of scientific engineering maps or things like that.
Right.
With the UD, I also wanted to mention that we have our own documentation and site assessment forms. We have an 8-page data table, we call it, which has, especially for the US, but also in Canada, the Netherlands, Europe, Belgium, links to find all the ecological data you need in order to do your design work. So it's all the questions, right? If you don't know what the questions are, that's a problem. So we have a sheet with all the questions, and it's 8 pages. And actually in the course, you go through that for whatever site you're picking, and you're able to now learn all that information. Patrick Whitefield, I don't know if you remember him, he had a book, I think it was called Reading the Landscape. And it's like that. It's like all of a sudden, you don't even have to be there yet. You understand what you're going to be dealing with. Once you kind of learn how to read the landscape, just from the aerials, the pictures, then you go into the detail. And after a while, that pattern recognition, remember patterns to details? Pattern language and pattern recognition starts to build in your brain, because all these things repeat. As you go to all these different sites, situations repeat, soils repeat, landscapes repeat, and the more mileage you have with doing it, then you understand here's where we need to start when we go in. Again, half acre, 60 acres, 58,000 acres. It doesn't matter. We can do the resolution in Adobe Illustrator is basically almost infinite. So because we're working in a vector file, not a raster file, which is like pixels, you can add a lot of detail and go and go really deep.
Yeah.
Let's see what else I have here. Oh, again, the style, like you were saying, you can kind of see it, and people are recognizing that. And that's because we use natural colors. Our color palette is very muted, almost like you're looking at grass or you're looking at an aerial of a field. We try not to have anything stand out more than anything else, unless, for some reason it needs to graphically. So it's just easy on the eyes and easy to look at. If there's bright colors, primary colors, things like that, it causes eye fatigue, and people won't look at it for very long. But in this sense, you can go on and look at it for quite a while. So
this is the first 3D model that I ever made. And this is Cloud Mountain Farm Center up near Washington. This is a farm that I worked at back in 2018. And you can tell this is done in the winter because there's no foliage on the trees here. But the building resolution is quite good. And this 3D model was made in 10 minutes using DroneDeploy. This was kind of, oops, sorry about that. This was kind of beginner's luck because, again, this was my very first model. But when I hit go on that DroneDeploy button and the drone took off, flew itself around the farm, landed, and I looked at this model that it had made, there's a couple hours of processing, but only 10 minutes of flight time. So when that processing was done and I saw this, I just started to think, this is really going to add a ton of value to educational programs out there, because all of a sudden you can start to understand so much more of the farm layout, and you just like all of these details. But one of the cool things here, this is the software program we're in here is Sketchfab. And this is another great tool for beginners that are trying to create educational content like this, because these annotations are so simple to plug in here. And just by dropping in a YouTube video. And so this 3D model really is this interactive learning tool, and it's just one of the most simple things to make.
We use ArcMap, QGIS, depending on who you ask. It's like, I think Alicia uses ArcMap and Josh uses QGIS. I use QGIS to do my contours at times when I have the data that I need to do that. What's funny about that, I have to say, though, it's like anything. If you don't use it enough, you forget, right? And I'm on this Illustrator all week, practically every day, working, right? I'm always, and all of the designers are too, working on their things. So we're sharing information. I get on QGIS and I'm like, okay, what was that again? Because I don't do it enough, which is another reason I have a few things that I can do for it. But if I ask Josh or Alicia and say, by the way, I need 2-foot contours, here's the KML, blah, blah, blah. Oh, can you do water conditioning? Also, can you do a stream bed analysis for me? For them, it's like, that's what they do. Right?
Yes.
And I think that's part of the sharing, and then understanding that get people that know how to work on it and they deliver, and it's amazing. And then they ask, do you want a PDF, a DWG? They even know the files that work for us, right? Yep. And so you'll get a layered file. And ArcMap actually has a plugin for Adobe Illustrator. And so perfect. It comes out of ArcMap as layered files. DWG do that also. And I think it's Sarah works in AutoCAD in Spain in Civil 3D. And she'll send out one of her AutoCAD files, but she knows to send us a certain kind of file, opens right up in Illustrator for us.
Perfect. Yeah, you got to love that. Yeah, Wen here is saying that it's great with drone data too. Do you guys do much with drone as part of your? Is it like standard at this point to integrate drone information?
If you can. The problem with drones, of course, is trees. Love trees. But I did, I have a Phantom 4 that I do and I use when I can.
Okay.
I use it in Texas where there's just shrubs and things like that. Yeah. Fantastic detail, amazing. I could do all my own contours, all my own work just from the drone flight. Go to northern Minnesota, those trees are in the way. I can't see anything. A drone can't see under the trees, right?
Yeah, right.
You have to have LiDAR. But a combination of canopy and detail and real-time imaging, absolutely high-res mapping with the drone is fantastic. But then I need to go to LiDAR to get my contour lines.
So the topo map that you saw earlier there's several methods of creating topography maps, and what we do in DroneDeploy is basically your images are sending all of this information of the height of the drone from the ground in this metadata. And so the topography maps, which I'll show you one right here, these are pretty accurate considering this is just drone data from images and it's measuring the height from the ground. When you look at this topography data on site, you can really tell that it actually is very accurate. Like as I showed you earlier at the inspiration map, you could actually see the swales in the topography data, which leads me to believe that this is pretty accurate stuff. However, it is not survey grade maps.
No.
Those are very expensive to make. Like if you ever go to get a site survey done, it costs thousands of dollars depending on the size of the project. But this gives us really good information, and you can create survey grade maps within DroneDeploy. You just need to do something called using ground control points, which is a whole skill set that really you're only going to learn about that if you are a surveyor. But that's why I really love DroneDeploy is we're getting this really good data that's good enough for what we're trying to convey. We're trying to show the slope of this site so that students can look at it and start to understand, we look at that topography data and then we look at this 3D model and we can see, oh yeah, this is a pretty steep slope here.
Yeah.
There's this flat spot right here where there's this path. So we're not necessarily shooting for survey grade because that's a whole nother skill set that we don't necessarily need to create really good educational content.
Yeah, that would be more for construction use. Whereas this works great to be able to communicate for educational purposes.
Well, what do you think about that? Now we have maps that can be read like books, and we have landscapes that can be read sort of like a website, which is pretty amazing. Think about the power of farm tour technology, especially when it comes to permaculture education. Not every group of students, not every group of people who are interested can travel to the farm. Not every farmer has time to do tours all the time of their landscape. Now we have, with some of this new technology and the proliferation of drones, we have the ability to take the living landscape and all the lessons of permaculture directly into people's homes. This is a game changer for permaculture design, and hopefully a game changer for policy writ large across the living landscapes of the earth. If you'd like to know more about this, we have a summit coming up called the Digital Permaculture Designer Summit. It's March 23rd through 27th, 2026, and it's all about digital tools and how they're being used by professional permaculturists to help with the people care aspect, aka running a business, but also the earth care aspect, aka becoming faster and more clear communicators about earth repair systems and reversing degradation to any landscape on earth. The summit is completely free. If you're interested, click the link below and sign up, save your seat, and we will see you on March 23rd as we start this amazing summit all about digital tools in the permaculture world. Hope to see you at the summit, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.